Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Jennifer Marshall, and I'm the co-founder and executive director of This Is My Brave. I, myself, live with type 1 bipolar disorder. I was diagnosed at the age of 26, and I had 2 manic episodes in 1 month, and we knew that right away it was something serious. We had to figure it out, but they came out of nowhere, my illness. I had a year of severe clinical depression, which culminated in suicidal thoughts, which I was very lucky that we got the support and treatment I needed, and I got well. I never imagined that the years I was having my children that I would find myself handcuffed and hospitalized against my will, taken to the psychiatric hospital by police officers, but that was my reality. What happened then was I looked back on my journey and I realized that I didn't just go through all of that hell for no reason, and I needed to find a purpose for my pain. And I was desperate to find stories from real people who had made it out of the darkness and who were living full, successful lives. So I turned to books, and when I didn't find a ton of stuff in books, I did what most of us do when we're searching for something, and I turned to the internet. And I found bloggers, one of whom is here today, Brooke, who were sharing their stories so vulnerably and beautifully that they inspired me. So in 2011, I wrote the first post on a blog that I titled Bipolar Mom Life. And I wrote about, just managing my illness, raising my kids, and being a mom and a wife. And it was very healing for me. But I wrote anonymously because I was afraid of stigma. Until one day an editor found my writing and asked me to write for a major website. And in that moment, I decided that I'm done hiding, and I'm ready to, own this and also show people that it's okay and we can talk about this. They put my first piece on AOL.com, and it was called What Landed Mom in the Psych Ward. So, it got people reading, though. And what happened next was that it was a tremendous wave of support. And from that support, I realized that I wanted to give other people that same platform, because when you have a platform and you bring an audience like you guys have brought today to us, it's such an incredible experience. And you as an audience member today are going to experience it as well. And you're going to see pieces of your stories in these stories on stage. Our organization was devastated last fall when my co-founder, Anne-Marie, passed away from a heart attack. A tribute to her is in our program. And I suffered another hospitalization. But what keeps me going is the people, is these people that keep coming forward to tell their stories, and they have made This Is My Brave what it is today. It's an incredible community of people who are doing something to end the stigma surrounding mental illness and addiction, and I'm so, so proud of them and grateful to you all for being here. Because as I said in the documentary clip, it's our mission so that one day, we tell these stories so that one day we will live in a world where we don't have to call it brave for talking openly about mental illness. We will simply call it talking. And that's what we're about to do right here, one story at a time. So I'd like you to help me welcome our brave producer, the amazing Amanda Miller, to the stage.
Welcome to This Is My Brave, Iowa City. I'm Amanda, and I want to thank every one of you for coming to Iowa City and witnessing the light being shined upon mental health stigma. First and foremost, we need to thank our sponsors. We have national sponsors that help us put all of this together financially. We wouldn't be able to do it without them. Synavian, Sage Therapeutics, and Alkermes we're very lucky to have them on board. As well as we have a lot of fabulous local sponsors, some of the agencies you may be familiar with: NAMI Johnson County, Abbey Mental Health Center, University of Iowa Community Credit Union, Systems Unlimited, the Bell and Blank Center, Mercy Cedar Rapids, and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Iowa Chapter. We also want to give special thanks to Haven Salon, who volunteered their time and talents providing hair and makeup to all of our cast members today at no charge. For Kate Cobb on the piano and vocals. For Hy-Vee and Fairway for the donations for our cast today as well. And with my deepest gratitude, my co-producers Sadie and Alex, who are somewhere hiding. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to make all of this happen. So a few housekeeping items before we get started. You should have received a program when you entered the theater. There are a lot of you, so it's possible you might be sharing with a neighbor. Inside that program, you can find all of the information about our cast members and our sponsors, so please take a look at that. Now, if everyone could please take out their cell phone. We're going to break all the rules of theater today. So normally when you come to the Englert, it's like, don't put it away, and usher will grab you and pull you out of the theater, and we're not doing that today. We're a very social organization. We get all of our word of mouth spread through social media, and we used a Kickstarter campaign back in 2013 to get us going. So what we want you to do today is take as many pictures or selfies or videos or whatever you want, and post those online. Use the hashtag Storytelling Saves Lives or hashtag Live Brave. Our volunteers are going to do their best to retweet those or regram those or rebook those or whatever the fancy things are that kids do with those things. So what you're about to experience is what it means to live brave. And we need your help to let the world know that we're here and so that they can learn what it means to be brave too. Share away, don't be shy. Thank you. Now would be a good time to also make sure that phone is turned to silent. Since This Is My Brave is a storytelling organization, we thought it would make sense to tell you the story of how we got involved as producers as well. In 2016, I attended This Is My Brave in Des Moines, and that really was something that I'd never experienced before as a mental health professional. I've always been someone who hears stories and then tries to find ways to help or fix or at least respond appropriately. So it was a good fit for me. At work, I'm the program director at the Mood Disorders Center at the University of Iowa, where we work with people who are living with bipolar disorder and depression. We coordinate between patients, families, doctors, researchers, and students to understand and treat mood disorders across the board. In 2016, I was the MC of the show in Cedar Rapids, and that was a good entree into this production. It was a bit of a tease on how much work it was actually going to be, but you live and you learn. Personally, mood disorders have been part of my life as long as I can remember. However, I wasn't the one who was ill with them. I was one of those disgustingly mentally healthy people. Like, I knew what mental illness was, for sure. Bipolar disorder runs in my family. I've witnessed depression, anxiety, PTSD, and addiction in my family, my friendships, and of course, my patients. But it wasn't until after the birth of my second child that I really got an understanding of what these things were like. 1,000 pounds of bricks bore down on my chest as I told my college sister that she couldn't come over because I was so afraid that she was going to get my baby sick with meningitis. I'm just convinced. This is me, the person who never worries, who never gets scared, who doesn't have endless cycles of thoughts spinning around in her head. Oh. I was always the happy one, and now I was having thoughts like, I could just drive my car into that overpass. Who is this person and where did she come from? The depression passed quickly, thankfully, but the anxiety has hung on, and so I find myself using techniques of mindfulness and grounding and thought challenging to get through those. I'm really fortunate to be in a field where I have a tremendous amount of support, tremendous access to evidence-based therapies, and I have an incredible system of people who are family and friends and partners who are the rocks of my life that help me maintain my sanity. Today, we're celebrating the humans who displayed tremendous bravery in an effort to change the dialogue around mental illness. Take a look to your right. Take a look to your left. Each person in this room is part of a community that we are creating for each other. We are strangers, friends, family, coworkers, roommates, and neighbors. Please join with me as we take a collective breath. That feels good, doesn't it? And we'll let the show begin. Please welcome the cast of the 2018 Iowa City This Is My Brave. Without further ado, I ask you to welcome to the stage our first of many performers today. Here to share her piece titled The Girl in the Wings, Justine.
I'm the girl waiting in the wings. I guess it's always been that way. Because instead of looking through my kaleidoscope, I'm seen in shades of gray. I'm the girl picked last for dodgeball. I'm the one to lose the race. Because who could ever love someone cursed with carrying this face? My father never loved me. He couldn't be bothered to care. But suddenly, when there's money involved, he appeared out of thin air. 11 years flew right by without one single word. The lies he told to justify were utterly absurd. Torn from my family's loving arms, I raged against the world. Caged inside the lion's den, vicious thoughts in me unfurled. For 7 years I played my part, but I'd lay in bed and cry. When denied my fare back home, I swore to God I'd die. If there is an overlord, a great all-seeing being, why the hell was I still there when I was praying hard, was screaming? But from the bridge I was pulled, backways from the ledge. They may have saved my body, but if the river they would dredge, they'd find amongst the sludge and mud my soul, the living dead. The years dragged by and I survived, but within my heart a battle cry of love and pain and time now lost rung out inside, and in my mind my inner song broke free and climbed way up high, right to the sky. Though I was chained, my hope could fly and sing my loved ones lullabies. On the day I changed my fate, for which I could hardly wait, I flew back home to live my life, of which I had fantasized. It wasn't perfect, you probably guessed. I'd put up walls, I was distressed, but through my sadness, through it all, my loved ones would not let me fall. There were new things to overcome, but generally, by rule of thumb, I made it through, I persevered. Though still uncertain, filled with doubt, new opportunities would come about. I tried new sports, I kept on singing. Into my work was always bringing my greatest effort, strength, and pride. I finished high school, turmoil aside. I finished at the top of my class. To those bonds that held me, I said, kiss my ass. I still had troubles, kids were cruel. I thought it'd stop with high school, but people jeered and criticized about my teeth, my eyes, my size. There are no gaps between my thighs. My weight, my body, I despised. If this is adulthood, I once thought, I don't know if I will last. But battles won and battles fought made me who I am today. The demons come out from under the bed to play, and though I've conquered many, I know there's more to slay. My fear of the darkness must melt away because my journey's not quite done, and through the tunnels I must crawl until at long last I see the sun. It may be lonely, the path may be long, but I know that someday I'll find where I belong. These last few years have flown right by. I've learned, been lost, had too many goodbyes. My heart's been broke, it cracked, it shattered. When I tried to hold them in, the pieces like field mice scattered. I'm different now, there's no denying. I fought my anxiety, depression, there's no use hiding that I've had more than my fair share of days spent crying. But through the storm I have waited, I may be broken, I may be jaded, but here we are and here I stand, and of your attention I demand. I've spent so long behind the curtain, never knowing if for certain anything I do or say will make a difference, and someday, I hope my aspirations come true, just as I wish it for all of you. I guess I'm grown up now, I have matured. My skills, my talents I have nurtured. I guess now I'm racing the clock. If I'm not careful, my own efforts I block. To grow, to strive, I must decide to let myself be loved, to no longer hide. The past stays with me, that much is true, just as it does, I suspect, with all of you. Fear haunts my dreams, doubt clouds my nights, but it cannot shroud my beauty, my light. So now it's time to turn the page, no longer the girl in the wings, it's my turn to take center stage. So from my heart to yours, a message, hear it now. Seize every moment from prologue to bow. Thank you. Please welcome Margalie to the podium, our next storyteller.
on becoming the Helen Keller of schizophrenia. From the minute we met in the pages of a library book I borrowed in 4th grade, I wanted to know your secret, Helen. How amazing and strange it was that you could not see or hear. What kept you from a dark and silent life? I could imagine being blind so long as you could hear the voices of people you love, or being deaf but still communicating through sign language. But what a nightmare to endure both at once. How did you break free from that? It seemed to me like magic. Your teacher, Annie, opened the door, but you had to choose to go through it. You two fought a fierce, stubborn battle over sitting at the table, eating off your plate with a spoon. You even fought over folding your napkin. Once you were willing to cooperate, the real learning began. You repeated the hand movements Annie taught you, even when it was just a confusing game. And then came the miracle at the water pump. You made the sound wah-wah, the same sounds you made as a child for water. With your touch, you saw. With your mind, you heard. You were so excited to crack the code of language that you even spelled sign language into the paw of your dog. Annie continued to sign complete sentences in your hands, so you learned like every able child. You went on to make leaps of learning, becoming famous for communicating inspiration worldwide. I wanted to be like you, brave, smart, and loved. So what would it take? I tried an experiment. I sealed my eyes with masking tape, stuffed toilet paper into my ears. With a yardstick for a cane, I went tap, tap, tapping to the table around the house. I tripped over the cat, stubbed my toe, swore, didn't hear the call to come to supper. When my father led me to the table, I collided with the chair. I fumbled to find a napkin and slurped spaghetti all over my face. I barely lasted an hour. I'm sorry, Helen, but I cannot live your life. I love my senses too much. Now I live and struggle with the bewildering challenge of schizophrenia. I see and hear what no one else can. I have seen skin falling off a speaker's face, exposing her skull. I have come forward in worship to see the drowned body of a close friend where the communion bread belonged. I have shivered in a dark room, swallowed by an even darker cloud. A chorus of malicious voices has pursued me. I have had to learn to question what is real and true and good. Perhaps therapy and medicine and Tai Chi and mindfulness and critters and all those keys have been like Braille and sign language were to you, keys to wellness that we use to open doors. Your life story has been my teacher. You are my Annie. I have learned from you to be here now. I savor the tart yet sweet flavor of a peach and remember summer sunrises. I take a deep breath of lilac and sense my grandmother's love. I slide my hand down the soft back of my kitty, Helen. I form clay into a heart. Was that your trick? Paying attention to the senses that you did have, plus using your imagination? On your Braille typewriter, you write to me, smell is a potent wizard that transports you across thousands of miles and all the years that you have lived. What would you say to me, Helen, if I told you at times I have wanted to take my life? I know you would respond, although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. You have taught me that doing something hard, just because it is hard, doesn't make you a better person. But doing the hard work of loving yourself and communicating love to the people who matter is how you become fully alive and human. Could I please have the honor of being called the Helen Keller of schizophrenia? We may not be twins, but we sure are sisters. I promise to wear your name like a banner, using our stories to educate, fight stigma, and support others. I feel her tap her answer into my palm. The best and most beautiful things in life cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt within the heart. I hear you, Helen, with all my heart. Next, Hyung Min.
Hello everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone to make here, and also I'm really grateful to be here as well. Last summer, I decided to be on the show with excitement. I was so excited that I could share my story and I could help society to change the view about mental illnesses. I was so excited about sharing my story, and I could help society to change the view about mental illnesses, which I am struggling as well. But as time goes by, I got nervous and I was very anxious, and I was afraid of sharing my story. You know, sharing mental illnesses is not an easy thing. So I asked myself, Kyungmin, why are you so afraid of it? Why are you so afraid of sharing your story? And actually 2 days ago, I got my answer that I have stigma on my mental illnesses. I was shameful about my mental illnesses. So I changed myself. I changed my thought that I should be the first that change my perspective about my mental illnesses. So I'm here, and my name is Kyungmin, and I'm from South Korea, and I came to Iowa for my college when I was 19. At that time, I was full of hope and dream. Maybe I was expecting very happy life as it is seen in media. So, but my reality was not. I was hard time living by myself, staying away from living far away with my family, and cultural differences, and mostly language barrier, which made me so frustrated. You might not believe, but the only thing that I could say is, hi, how are you? Bye, yeah. So I started to feel loneliness in my life, and I felt very insecure, and I became anxious, very nervous, and I needed help. But I did not ask for help to anyone, and I didn't know how to ask. So I was studying psychology at the time, and I learned a lot of clinical disorders, and I felt I belonged to all mental disorders that I have, which made me so frustrated. Rather than seeking out for help, I made myself isolated, and I hide myself, and I reject myself. So I made a big trouble. I dropped out of college, and I went back to Korea. Even though I spent my time with my family, I was severely depressed and anxious. And literally, I had no hope in my life until I met this guy, Jesus. It was just normal, severely depressed day. I was looking down, and I was on the subway, and I ran into my old high school friend, and she recognized me, and we kept in touch after the day, and she invited me to the church. Whenever I go to church, I feel so much comfort and relaxation and peace without any worries. It took a lot of time, and with prayers, I realized that my heart, which was so closed and hard, started to begin open. Jesus embraced me with all his heart, with all his soul, with all his strength, and with all his mind. I was saved by him in the darkness, and by his grace and forgiveness, I took a courage to come back to Iowa City. But when I came back, the hardships were still there that I have to face with. But this time, I confronted with it and I challenged myself. I started volunteering in hospital. I work with kids who goes through mental illnesses like me, and I saw a lot of kids who go through hard life situations, and I saw myself in one of those kids, and I started to understand myself. As we are all social human beings, we are all influenced by hard life situations, but it was more about our attitude, how we face those hardships. We cannot always control our situation, but we can always control our thoughts, our minds, and our behavior. And I would like to encourage everyone here to challenge negative thoughts and try new positive thinking and applying to your lives. And I would love to encourage everyone as well. You're not the only one who is battling with mental illnesses, but instead, I would recommend to open your heart. If you're willing to open your heart, you can begin to start outside of yourself and see there are a lot of supportive systems around you. It could be your family, friends, counselors, social workers, or doctors, a lot of health professions. But for me, God, who loves me so much, just I am, just the way I am. 3 years ago, I could not imagine myself standing here sharing about my story. Before I closing my show, I just want to say thank you to my friends. I could not be here without their support in prayers, in love. And also I want to say thank you to my parents in Korea and my brother. Thank you for supporting me always. And most above all, Thank you so much, God, for giving your son to me and take me into the light of you that I've not deserved. Thank you for giving me so much mercy, peace, comfort, interest, and love. I know I will stumble down again, but I trust God that you're my healer, my guider, and my living hope. And thank you so much. And I would like to introduce our next speaker, Ron.
I have props. I've titled my piece Lost in the Stream. I live in a tent, sleeping bag for a bed. The rest of my stuff's in a storage shed. I pedal to work 7 miles each way. It sounds like it's rough, but who's to say that my life is worse than yours right now? My dad worked harder, but didn't know how to give to himself the love that he needed. But he made sure us kids were all clothed and feeded. My family don't help. It's not they don't care, it's just this is something I'm not willing to share. When you find yourself in the same position, you choose who you tell about your living conditions. The word for where I'm at, I'm sure you can guess. I thought I did my best. Still, I ended up being homeless. 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 My Nokia phone, it keeps me in touch. I rent a mailbox, it doesn't cost much. Ice chest for a fridge. Every day it's a bother to buy more ice and dump out the water. This and that in boxes on the floor. Above them it's an 8-foot-long 2x4 where I hang my shirts and pants and coat. I'm doing the best I can to stay afloat. I know what you're thinking. It's uncouth and absurd. Pitch a tent in the woods and live with the birds. I know what I'm doing. I know where I've been. I have no regrets. I'd do it again. But it's truly dragging me down, all the hassles and stress, because I've been living in survival mode since I became homeless. 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 I wrote that poem 17 years and 3 months ago when I was living in a flimsy nylon tent on the banks of the Iowa River in Coralville. I chose that particular spot in the woods for its seclusion and its proximity to my storage shed where I had moved all my belongings 2 months prior and then sold my pickup truck. When I first decided to do this, it was supposed to be temporary, just a month or two, I told myself. Well, that turned into 5 months. And like one of the lines says, I'd do it again. Well, I did do it again. I was homeless twice, in 2007 for 3 months, and again in 2010 for about 3 months. I've had a protracted struggle with maintaining a functional life. I've truly done my best to live independently since I graduated high school, but I sometimes make impulsive decisions. Until I was 47 years old, 13 years ago, I did not know that I had autism spectrum disorder. My thoughts would sometimes be racing through my head, distracting me from feeling my own feelings and emotions. I believe a more accurate description of this now would be poor interoception awareness. When I cannot tell what this feeling is or where it came from, my mind struggles to deal with it, and it leads to confusion and desperation and impulsive actions. This continues until I cannot avoid my feelings any longer, and I plunge into the depths. Sometimes I am so immersed in an emotion that I lose my sense of self. I almost become that emotion. I don't just feel sad, I become sadness. I don't merely feel euphoric, I become euphoria. The boundary of self dissolves, and I feel overwhelmed, swept away by the emotional waters, lost in swirling eddies and currents flowing swiftly around boulders in the midst of a stream. I make rash decisions, like moving into a tent in the middle of the woods to save money on rent. Unmoored from its safe harbor, my brain decides to leap into some cool-sounding idea, and then a while later, I slam into one of the boulders in the midst of this metaphoric stream, and boundaries rematerialize. I wake up and realize what I've done. On an emotional level, I get it, and then I say, I'm stuck here in the woods, now what do I do? Or I say, wait, what? I signed up for This Is My Brave at the Englert? In front of 300 people? Can I get out of that? This pattern, when I have enough distance from it to recognize it as a pattern, rules my life. It's not a malicious pattern, but it behaves like a 15-year-old boy whose only interest in life at the moment is in avoiding schoolwork and going to parties like this one at the Englert. Thank you. And now please welcome Adrianna Peterson.
April is for beginners, a 4-year journey and counting. January, February, March, A, P, R, I, L. April, where A stands for Adrianna, P stands for pain, R stands for reality, I stands for intuition, and L stands for love. June, July, August, September, October, November, December. A quick guide for all those who don't understand what April stands for. I'll start with my consistently present sense of self, myself, Adrianna, making up a scene of a cherished celebratory birth month, which includes a diagnosis of my bipolar 1. Pain due to my 4 hospitalizations in December, April, June, and January, with the first trauma making its beginning on the night of my 16th birthday. I know, April 11th, forever known as that day, which is a painful beginning that does not end. Because I know the cycle of months where April comes after March, and then February comes after January, after December, after November, October, September, August, then July, after June, after May. This monthly cycle is my reality. My intuition tells me that fear is here, this day, this month, the loss. My experiences define me, my actions define me, my diagnosis defines me, but my identity is my definition. So I said, enough! Can't my already existing problems be beginning to enough? The final ignition of that fire that is struck within my body has caused me to reach out for help because
I no longer want to hold this beginner's luck. So bipolar, I decide I need help. On my first year, I experienced greed. I was vying to get materialistic things that I could ever wanted. My lifeless soul with my loveless emotional trauma was all I could begin to give out. Too tied up in my own reality to give a damn about the world around me. Spoiled, that's how they would describe me, needing the most attention and the most effort dedicated to me. Yet I didn't realize this soon enough. But being this greedy can lead into a lot of trouble when it's only hiding what's really bothering you. On the second year, I experienced trouble. My egotistical faith in which I held myself on a pedestal came crashing down. That greed turned my insides into a sour mess. It was like my insides were so tired of itself that it had to begin a new journey, where the continual disgust with a never-pleased ending. I would continue to clutter this world with unnecessary drama that satisfied my soul. I was not only greedy now, but now I had a lot of problems from hiding what I really wanted to feel. On the third year, I experienced hope. Something clicked. I realized that I may have been a disaster, but yet that cannot stop me from beginning to experience emotional sensations that make it all better. My system was no longer about me. The main connection was no longer filled with only bipolar. A part of it wasn't only greed. The sets of trouble I found myself in were nothing in particular. I finally found the people I needed to make it all better. I was not inspired by only myself, but instead everyone else. It's like how my therapist would continually tell me, you need to give yourself more credit. So here I go. I'm not greedy. My viewpoint of my greed was hiding behind the mask I wore for being kind, loving, considerate, and giving. I am not a burden, and I do not cause trouble. My viewpoint of all the trouble I thought I made was hidden behind the mask, that it was the hardest to break. Because how can you give yourself all the credit if you didn't even love yourself? On the fourth year, I experienced love. It feels like that final step where you learn everything really quickly and you have a heart of joyous emotions, but instead, I still have decades to go. Within my 4 years of experience, I found that what I had all along was love. My greed blinded me, my trouble silenced the flow to my ears, but my hope was always there. It was just hushed. I finally realized that the love I was given will continue, and that without my years of greed and my years of trouble and my year of hope, I would have not found my continual years of love for myself. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. All my months and all my years were the beginning stages of being bipolar, and they have come to mean only one thing to me, that my perceived loss of who I was never lost. April is not for beginners. It was for the beginning. Thank you. And I'd like to welcome next to the stage Eddie Rains.
Good afternoon. My name is Eddie Rains. I'm 51 years of age, but I feel like I've lived about 7 different lives already. These lives have varied wildly between the extremes of happiness and suffering. Nevertheless, I want nothing more to set out on yet another life, one more at least. I've always said that our blessings and curses are often bound together. Some blessings may have never occurred had it not been for what we think of as curses. Challenges, illnesses, hardships, and sometimes just bad luck. I rely heavily on a few notions and insights that have taken root throughout my years, and the acceptance of the effects, results, and possible upside of my diagnoses of depression, PTSD, ADHD, and substance abuse has been central to moving forward. I do feel fortunate in the blessings I have today. I'm a saxophonist. I've traveled all over America and elsewhere, and have had peak experiences I wouldn't trade for anything. I have compassion and a sense of humor, and I've known an unusually large number of people, and I feel loved and respected. Most days I have an inner peace that may seem to some to be out of place with my situation, my condition. I was, at the time of my high school graduation, afraid, shut down, sad, socially awkward, and unprepared for life in a long list of ways. Then came the magic summer of '87. I began to drink, do drugs, and experience a level of wonder and appreciation for the beauty of the world that I'd always strongly believed was there, but that I had been separated from. Freedom, my dreams, and my potential were always on the other side of a wall. That summer, however, I saw a Pink Floyd concert, speaking of the wall, and I had several unbelievable experiences, and I realized that I could play the sax, not just well, but rather well, and the relief from the gray, heavy reality I'd been trapped in was heaven. Of course, any substance you take all the time will make you weak in the areas those substances seem to help with. It's occurred to me that alcohol in particular was allowing me to feel what I'd been conditioned since childhood to think I shouldn't be feeling. The good feelings of acceptance, freedom, and elation I didn't deserve, and the grieving for a lost childhood, and the pain and sadness that seemed to come from an inexhaustible wellspring wasn't allowed either. With me, as with others, the substances were temporarily easing suffering that they were slowly making more intense and hard to cope with. Through various eras or lives in different parts of the country, I did slowly catch up emotionally and socially through the practice of meeting a lot of new people. I've had powerful chapters of sobriety and have higher levels of fellowship with people than I would have ever thought possible as a kid. But there was something amiss, always a nagging feeling that I wasn't dealing with life head-on in a responsible way. But of course, change is the only constant. As I got older, my inner struggles outpaced both my healthy and unhealthy coping skills. Enter the age of rehabs and psych meds. While I can't imagine ever winning any awards for normality, I found myself doing some odd things about 6 or 7 years ago, and I thought, wow, these are things that people do who are mentally ill. It seemed undeniable that, as a good friend of mine would say, my cheese was sliding off my cracker. I have learned to laugh about my challenges, for as a favorite author, Christmas Humphreys, once wrote, laughter is an expression of mental health. Humor is a powerful weapon against depression, and it's better than buying into the stigma. In recent years, I've seen many doctors and spent time in a few hospitals and dual diagnosis rehabs. It was, for me and others I've met, a long and sometimes discouraging process, having to try different medications to find out which one was right for me. I had to be circumspect and honest about side effects versus benefits and what level of functionality I could hope for. The idea that things might never be ideal and that my most cherished hopes and dreams might never become realities was painful. These problems are ongoing, and it would be easy to despair. And I feel distress on behalf of others I meet who have obstacles like mine, or even more challenging. However, much rests on what we really want and why. The decisions to be a good person, to do good things, and to be a part of the good that's as inherent in human experience as suffering seems to be, were crucial for me to firmly make in order to enjoy any sense of well-being. Of course, decisions without actions are futile. Action is quite a powerful elixir. Feeling frozen and paralyzed and unable to act is maddening and something I've grappled with for decades. Entropy will do its worst if it's not defied, no matter who we are or what problems we have. Whether working a program or maintaining some modicum of happiness despite one's diagnosis, effort must be applied regularly. I've often said it's like building a sandcastle too close to the sea. The waves will continue to come in, and without good planning and constant care, even the most beautiful and artistic sand sculpture will turn into a pile of mush. As 18th century writer Tsunetomo Yamamoto put it, negligence is an extreme thing. One might also compare this kind of ongoing battle to being in a boxing ring. We either do some dancing and get some swings in, or we go down. I've won some rounds and I've lost some rounds, but so far I've always gotten back up. Going down swinging might sound good, but I'd rather not go down, period. I feel too that as another tool in this struggle, learning is invaluable. Education has been an inexhaustible resource in the area of recovery and mental health. Reading and learning makes one's world bigger. It increases one's sense of wonder, of appreciation, and of the numinous. The more we see of the big picture, the less likely we are to buy into any little pictures, including those that we create ourselves that might hinder our progress. To synopsize my take on coping with my illness, my recovery tool belt includes the following. 1, I turn feelings into sound with my saxophone and try to make people smile with it. 2, I strive to make healthy decisions based on what's good for myself and others. 3, I reach out to others and try to be a plus. It's an overpopulated world. Loneliness can't be necessary. 4, I educate myself autodidactically, but I intend to continue my college education. 5, I try to deal with my depression and addiction as severely as it's dealt with me. I do these things because of the most important belief that I have, namely, it is good that we are all here, and I'd like to stay. Going up swinging is the only way. Thank you very much. Now at this time, we're going to have intermission for 20 minutes. I'm going to provide some background ambient saxophone, but get up, stretch your legs, go out, and do whatever you need to do, and we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes.
I get to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Haley. Thank you. The first time I wanted to die, I was only 9 years old. 3rd grade, Mrs. Adams was my teacher. I probably didn't understand the word suicide, and I didn't think of killing myself exactly. I just thought about dying. Terminal illness, car accident, some other awful tragedy that would remove me from this world. I tried telling people this, and they thought it was silly, I guess, because what does a kid have to be depressed about? What they don't know is that 50% of us affected by severe mental health illnesses such as bipolar, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, well, we start feeling those symptoms by 14, before some of us ever even hit puberty. I was diagnosed with anxiety as a young kid, maybe 11 or 12. The diagnosis came after I wore a heart monitor for a couple of months. It was easier, I guess, for people to believe that a child was capable of having a heart attack. Easier to believe that than to believe a child had anxiety so bad it affected their heart rate and ability to breathe, because that's what anxiety does to me. It manifests into these scary physical symptoms that make me feel like I'm dying, which sometimes I want, but mostly I don't. That's the thing about suicide, by the way. I don't believe I've ever really wanted to die. I've really just wanted the pain to stop. And when you're in that moment, it's hard to believe there's a difference between the two things. I was told once that 5 minutes inside of a suicidal brain can feel like eternity, and that's why I sometimes roll my eyes when someone tells me to just hold on during an episode of severe anxiety or depression. Like, gee, thanks, never thought of that. I survived a lot growing up. took me a lot of years to realize what all I had gone through, and even now I'm still realizing it. I survived sexual abuse, rape, domestic violence, the loss of a child because of that domestic violence, emotional abuse, homelessness, poverty. I battled depression and suicidal ideations. I survived self-harm and multiple suicide attempts. Years ago, I might have told you I was a victim of those things, but not now, not anymore. Today, I tell you I survived because I'm a survivor. All of those events combined with the anxiety and depression that was already there, it was a catastrophe. Life felt hard, impossible, and there never seemed to be any hope or light at the end of the tunnel. But then there was. My hope came in the form of a man named Bill Mirabella. He fell in love with me, which made me fall in love with him too. And because of our love, along came a sweet little boy, Georgie. Bill was kind and sweet and took care of us. He was not cruel, he did not yell, he did not hurt me. He listened to my stories without judgment, told me I was better than the life I had been living. He promised to help me find a purpose. He helped me turn my self-harm into self-love 4 years together, and on July 4th, 2011, he dropped to one knee and asked me to love him forever. Unfortunately, forever lasted 3 months, 1 week, 4 days. I came home the morning of October 15th, 2011 to find Bill dead by suicide. The same demons he had helped me overcome were the ones that take him out of this world. My story doesn't end here, though. For a time, I thought it might. The morning of his burial, I wouldn't let them shut his casket until I used my hands to rub warmth back into his lifeless ones, and then I said farewell. My heart shattered, and giving up seemed like an easy alternative to going on without my best friend. But there was that purpose that Bill had promised to help me find, and in 2011, that purpose was 2 years old. That purpose was Georgie. It was tough, but it was not impossible. I cannot say the road from here to here has been full of pleasantries or beds of roses. There have been, in fact, many thorns and nights where I've stayed awake crying and reliving the worst moments of my life over and over. Days where the only thing I could do to survive was hold myself and remember that those feelings I was having would pass. Losing someone to suicide can be isolating. It was something my family didn't quite know how to talk to me about, something my friends didn't know how to comfort me over. So I actively sought out an event that would bring me to people who would know. I volunteered at an Out of the Darkness walk. Suddenly I was around people who knew, who understood, who were not afraid to talk about it. Bill had promised me a purpose, but he delivered too. Helping at an event where suicide loss was normalized and stigmas didn't exist, I felt at home. The following year, I joined the committee to not just volunteer at the event, but to help plan it. During planning, our small group became stumped when it came time to get a guest speaker. I can't tell you what my anxiety said to me when I found myself volunteering to speak. Let's just say my mind said a lot of F-bombs when I was confirmed as that year's guest talker. Have I mentioned that anxiety has this terrible, mean cousin named social anxiety? Talking in front of people, not really my thing. September 2013, City Park. I gave a 7-minute speech about how I'm both a suicide attempt survivor, living with depression, as well as how I survived the suicide loss of someone I love. People cried, people clapped, a weight left my body, and all of those people listening to my vulnerable words somehow became family. To this day, I will sometimes have someone approach me and tell me my words shaped how they view suicide. Since then, I've been able to share my stories in various places with so many people. Schools, churches, mental health professionals, survivors of suicide loss, to those fighting the good fight against mental illness, to strangers who have become friends, to those who no longer have to feel alone. I recently started therapy, something I put off for many reasons, one of them being fear. I told my therapist my story of all the things that I have been through. She cried for me in a way that few people ever have. She told me my trauma is severe post-traumatic stress disorder, she says. But more powerful than those stories of trauma is my want to persevere, to grow, to continue blossoming. She says my personal growth is incredible. She told me to be proud of myself. I still have my bad days, my hard days, my days where I call in sick because my brain is so damn messy, but be proud of myself, she says. See how much you have grown, acknowledge the growth. My main purpose is now 9 years old, giggly, feisty, and full of love. My second purpose has brought me here today in front of all of you, and for that I am grateful. I have learned through trial and error what it means to really care for myself. I take my medication, I go to therapy, I change my diet to brain healthy food like pizza and cake. I get that exercise. I remind myself to breathe. I ask for help when I need it, even though sometimes asking for help feels hard. I remind myself that it is an act of courage. I still have depression, I still have anxiety, but I have learned that they do not control me. I am in charge. I can control them. I have chosen happiness, and love has once again found me. Again and again and again. We struggle, but we do not give up. We fight, and while some battles are lost, the war is not. We are strong. We are fierce. We are brave. Next up, it's my privilege to introduce Fatima.
All the lights in the library will shut off at 10:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. Or maybe it will be on a Monday. Days all seem the same this time of year, but either way, you'll watch as everyone crawls into the cave spaces of their minds, bent over keyboards like a last meal, like an early morning, like retirement is today and not tomorrow. Voices will raise above the fog of deadlines and offset depression and call for their turn of light. You resent this. You want to linger in this darkness for as long as you are still breathing. This is the first time in a long time you've ever felt alone and been okay with that. When you're in the bathroom at 11:45 p.m., you'll realize students still write things in college. They'll scribble little Martian men and hearts into upgraded, glorified desks. They'll write on bathroom stalls. Remember to smile today. Nothing negative. No one ever wants to face a wall of collective pain. You'll read pretentious lines in Latin and I love you in French. You hate French. And you'll wonder when was the last time you ever were really happy. In the Learning Commons, you'll be eaten by a plush orange chair, its mouth agape as it takes all of you in. You realize it's the only one who knows you're here, who knows what the weight of your presence feels like, so you don't feel bad for listening in on the too loud conversation when in the hour between light and dark, the two boys sitting behind you say, "School always gets worse the second Halloween is over," because you also pretend ghosts in schools scare you more than merciless debt and loneliness. After Halloween, you have yourself to fear, in the shallow hope that by New Year's, you'll look more like your mother and everything will start making sense again. At 1:30 a.m., God will come. He'll say some bullshit about righteousness and finding the light, but with the way his body takes up the seat next to you and the condescending tone in his voice, you'll wonder, with all his masculinity, if he's ever felt alone. If all the space he takes up is truly holy, if a furrowed brow is hard to maintain, is it hard to act like you care, God? How long does it take to remember my name on your tongue? Do you always pretend to understand, pretend that you know, pretending heals even the smallest parts of me? You can't stare because this pristine white being makes you uneasy. Someone should never be blessed not to feel what it's like to be dirty. It's so dark, you wonder how he even found you in the first place. With the time change, it just gets darker out, and looking at your watch seems a little silly when you don't plan on staying long. You hope God leaves soon because you're not sure how much longer you can pretend you care that he's here, or if he does stay, you hope you can ask a real question. God, what do you call the feeling of not wanting to exist but not wanting to die? You remember reading somewhere that Benjamin Franklin once said, most people die at 25 and aren't buried until they're 75. You hate Benjamin Franklin. It's 2:21 a.m. and you're still waiting for your ride outside the library. It's cold and you decide to walk home. The old man on the bike beside you sings, "Am I crazy for feeling so lonely?" You know you've heard it somewhere before, but tonight, This morning, it sounds like missed calls in 1,500 miles of distance. You'll whisper, I cry a lot and I don't know why. And you hope nobody's listening, but also you wish everyone was, and then the universe would prop up on its elbow and with a finger trace the outline of your cheek, almost as if it's saying softly, honey, I hear you. Please welcome Misty Lucy.
All right, let's hope this thing moves down. Okay. Can y'all hear me? All right. My name is Misty, and I too was very excited to be in this. My Brave. I've been writing tidbits of my mental illness for a long time and have been wanting to share it. And so my story is called Keep Digging. Here I am, sitting here in the hell of my own making. How did I get here, I wonder? The paths I took, in my mind, I was certain were the right ones. My mind is playing tricks on me. It's so dark in here. There is no air. I can't breathe in here. There's no door, no window that I can see, no light. Who would choose this, I asked myself. No one, I would say silently. Not even those who recklessly do things that lead them to a path that they know will bring them here, but even they could never have guessed the hell that they were about to enter. It haunts you day and night, never letting you forget, never giving you a moment of peace. It is a real played over and over and over in your head all the time. All the horrible, unforgettable acts that you have done. And now here we are, our minds an endless reel of horror and pain, no happiness, no joy, no. Each second is like an hour, and each hour is like an eternity. These walls, they don't budge. We are the frightened, and we are the forgotten. Keep digging, I tell myself, keep digging. Not the dirt, not the rocks falling on you, but the rocks full of lies and traps, but keep digging inside my mind and my soul. Push and shove and shatter all the hurt, all the lies and the doubt that have blocked your way out. Do not give up. Do not lose hope, for surely there's a way out. I must find it. I will find it. I must keep digging. I'm still here. How long has it been? Does time even exist down here except to torture us? Why isn't anybody looking for me? Did everyone else move on? Did I get so deep that there's no hope to ever see my family again? Do they even know who I am? How do we get out? I keep asking over and over as I dig and I claw, and I dig and I claw. Blood pouring down my arms, dirt tearing at my face, my clothes torn and dirty, shoes all but gone. I keep digging. and clawing, but now there is nothing but bone. I have torn all the flesh off of me. But I keep digging because I know that I have to be near the top. But I'm so excited, so exhausted, tired, and thirsty. But I can feel it. I can feel my flesh starting to turn to bone, hard and brittle, breaking off at the slightest touch. No, no, God, please, no. I refuse to give up. Not like this, not like this, not in this dark, lonely, empty hell with only the shell for a body, my mind all scrambled, losing hope. I have to keep that hope. It's very small now, but it is still there, and it wants to see the sun again, the warmth, so contrary to this freezing cold. I need to know that the world will right itself, that I can breathe again, that I am not constantly upside down, backwards, sideways, always keeping me so dizzy that I'm always off balance. I don't know left from right, right from wrong. And the sad thing about that is that I really don't care anymore. Why should I? If I'm never to get out of here, why should I care of the mistakes that I made, the ones that I couldn't stop, the ones that depression and anxiety took from me? Being so depressed and anxious, you miss out on the important part of your life. My family, my husband, my children, and my grandsons. Going out to their games with my grandchildren, I always say yes, and I always cancel. Why? Because I become so paralyzed with fear, so paralyzed with anxiety that I can't even get out to the door. And so I miss yet another birthday party and another game. And now my kids and my grandkids don't know me as well as I wish that they would. Maybe I need to be in here. Maybe this sheer hell is what my depression and anxiety really looks like. Tearing pieces off of me, cutting every part of my life, even my flesh. My flesh shows the world what I want to hide. I don't have to hide down here. I can show off every ugly scar, every ugly thought I ever had, all the hatred toward those who are so happy that they should be the ones down here. I want them to feel what I feel, even for a second. Let them know that life is not all roses and happily ever after. Let them stomp and crunch and hear the crushing of the bones of the millions that have come before us. Maybe then they will finally get it. Maybe they will finally understand depression, mental illness, that we do not do this for attention. They will really know that mental illness is real. And it is time to wake up. Take off those rose-colored glasses of yours and stomp them to hell like we do every day of our lives. Lord, please, please listen to me. If you can hear me, I can't do this much longer. I feel myself getting weaker and weaker. But I have to be strong. I have to be strong for those before me, for those with me, and for those that are coming after me. I have to keep digging, though it hurts so much. I still feel like I have gone nowhere, and I can hear the laughter of those who think that I can believe, even for a moment, that I can get out of here, that I can breathe once again, that I will see light, I will feel warmth, and I will wrap it around me like my favorite warm Afghan my sister made me. I will not be smothered in this place called hell. I didn't do anything wrong to get here. Mental illness is not wrong. It's not shameful. It is not contagious. It is not weakness. If I have learned anything, mental illness will be one of the hardest things that you will ever go through. Yet it will make you the strongest person you and others will ever know. One of the most important things that I have learned is to have a strong support system from those who care and understand you, those who believe and understand and want to learn more about mental illness, to help you through the hard times and the really tough parts, just as much as they want to do with the easy parts. Loving you for who you are, not who others labeled you. One of the many sites I visit is this one. It is www.selfhelp.com. This is the one that has helped me the most. I self-harm. I cut. I think I am done, and I am not. Though thank God that the times between are getting longer through this site, through my supportive family and friends who have had to learn with me what self-harm was about. It is not about attention or that you want to commit suicide. It's that time when all your coping skills, those self-help skills that normally have helped you through a very hard time, have quit working. I love to read a lot. I also love to talk a lot. I pretend that I am an artist, making the world a much more beautiful place. I love globes and maps, showing me that there really is another world where I can go anywhere I want. To me, children's games are a great way to help me with my very hard times. That doesn't mean it'll work for you, but what the heck? Paint, get dirty, jump in the mud, have fun. Most important, tell your supporters that you are feeling depressed again. Find a good therapist or psychiatrist or psychologist if you can. Don't give up. Keep digging, keep fighting, and ignore those voices telling you that you cannot do this. I make it sound easier than it is, but it is hard, hard work. But if you're willing and tired of digging and you do not want to become one of those who have been stomped on, lost and forgotten and broken, don't let them get you right where they want you. I want to say love to all of those who have ever lost a loved one to suicide. And I want to also thank you for all of you who are here tonight to help support us. And together, we can help fight this battle. Thank you. The struggle is real. And now I would like to welcome Brian. Kathy.
Thank you, Misty. Gosh, made it through the first half of the show. Broke down during Misty's part. Okay, they're just minor adjustments. All right. My name is Kathy Hudipole. The piece I have that I'm sharing today is called First Freeze. This is a piece I wrote early on in my treatment. I chose this piece in part because many people know of my current struggle recovering with depression, but few people know what that looked like for me in the beginning. So that is why I decided that this piece would be the most brave thing that I could do to share today. First freeze. For lack of anything better to do, I stare blankly at yet another mediocre TV program, hardly bothering to digest its mindless plot between meandering and anxious thoughts. A doctor passes briskly through the day room on his way out, hardly aware of my existence. A heavy ring of keys jingles rhythmically against his hip. Never before have keys held such significance to me. They call out, taunting me. I am power, they seem to say. I am control. I am freedom. I am sanity. Totally oblivious, the doctor inserts a key which allows him through the large, heavy metal door. He lets it swing shut swiftly behind him with a resounding clank, which vibrates my very soul. Every time that door is either buzzed open or clicked shut, it served as a persistent reminder that I am not free to go. I want to charge the door, but one look at the skimpy, drafty hospital gown makes me know that I would never make it in this cold November night. I have to wear the gown because they have deemed me at risk of elopement and suicide. Why do they demean and degrade me when all I really want is positive encouragement? With a sharp, stinging rip, I peel my bare legs off the olive drab vinyl chair. In desperation, I press my face against the window at a contorted angle, trying to get a look at the outside world. I look longingly at the luscious green grass adorned with prismy droplets of rain. I envy the squirrel who can roam freely among the crisp brown leaves. Behind me, I become aware of the buzz and following click that announces someone is coming onto the ward. I edge closer in order to catch the subtle scent of crisp, cool fall air wafting off of her coat. Funny, I've never noticed that before. I hear a familiar clink of keys behind me, interrupting my thoughts. Catherine, we're ready for your committal hearing, the nurse tells me. I'll escort you. Could I change into my real clothes, please? I ask. No, of course not, she says coldly. We can't trust you anymore. I follow her tentatively through those magical doors. She follows 2 steps behind me to watch my every move. I feel extremely embarrassed about walking through the halls in my gown, wondering what people must think of me. However, no one seems to notice. The nurse guides me to a plain old conference room. I peer doubtfully through the half-open door, but find no distinguished robed judge sitting behind a large desk. There's only a smallish, geeky-looking man sitting behind a folding table. I see my resident doctor across the room. He gives me an icy stare that seems to accuse me of undermining his professional reputation, as if I'd gone through all of this hell just to make him look bad to the head doctor. I do not even give him the satisfaction of acknowledgement. Instead, I concentrate on the man I identify as my lawyer because of his briefcase and the fact that he directs me to the seat next to him. I think I talked to him about 30 seconds the other day. The man at the table clears his throat. Where's the gavel, I think. He recited a lot of formal gibberish about the case, the date, etc. The doctor gives his statement. Everything he says about my suicide attempt is true. I feel hopeless. My lawyer nudges me and whispers to ask if I had anything to say in my defense. I realize that everything the doctor said is true. I'm in bad shape. I need help today. I slowly shake my head in defeat and whisper, no. With that, the man at the big table says, okay then, we'll commit Catherine to Pleasant View. As if I am committed to the town itself, and as if that's an appropriate name for a state hospital. That's it. It's over and done. So now I wait. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Ryan to the stage.
Most children grow up dreaming of what they will be when they reach adulthood. In my day, most boys were dreaming of being astronauts or firemen or maybe soldiers, but not me. I didn't dream of what I would be when I grew up because, well, living in constant violence and fear and uncertainty, well, I just kind of took it for granted that I never would grow up. I figured if my father didn't kill me, somebody else would. I did have a fantasy, though. You see, I had turned to the performing arts as a means of escape to deal with the pain. I would sing and write songs. I would dance. I would write and act out stories. And these would usually have some sort of message that would be messages of faith or hope, the kinds of things that I really wish that somebody would be telling me, but nobody was. And I would play with my stuffed animals, and I'd lay them out, and I would have them act out that I would be encouraging them with these stories and songs that, quote, quote, they were writing, and encouraging them because somewhere deep inside, I had this fantasy that maybe somehow this passion of mine could someday keep somebody else from not having to feel the pain that I was feeling myself. And it was in that spirit that the song that I'm going to sing for you here in a moment came. I was in my pre-teens, and I was thinking, you know, if I'm not going to reach adulthood anyway, why don't I just take matters into my own hands, if you know what I mean. But I thought, you know, what would God have to say to me if he could speak to me right now? And I had this inspiration for the song called Someday Child. And that's the song that I'm going to sing for you here in a minute. But needless to say, I did grow up. And to an extent, that fantasy has come true. Over the years, I've actually been on stage. I've been on stage probably 30 times in musicals and plays and other shows. And I've seen short scripts that I've written being performed by others. And I worked in the church for many years, and I've volunteered with various children's organizations, and all the while, I've been in constant fear that people would figure out where I had come from and the nightmare that was still going on inside of me. Well, recently, I had the idea of writing a musical based on that song, Someday Child. drawing upon the experiences, the pain, the feelings, the children that are still living inside of me from growing up. It's called Someday Child, a show for hope. Right now it's a show for the hope that I need, but maybe someday it'll be a show that an audience like this could find hope from. Well, I'd like you to imagine as I sing this song that there's a little boy sitting right here that I will be singing to. He's about 7 years old. He has some stuffed animals in front of him. He's been playing with them, imagining that he's been coaching them on their performing arts dreams. And does this sound a little familiar to you? So here is Someday Child. Someday, child, there will be a way for you to achieve your dreams. And someday, child, you will have a chance, no matter how hard it seems. For I know what you can do, for your dreams have come from me. You will have the gifts that you need, for I gave those gifts to you. You will find what it takes in all you have inside, and you will find much more as you live your life with hope and faith to see you through. Someday, child, that child might be you. Someday, child, hear what I say. You only have to try. Someday, child, hear what I say. You only have to look inside. Know that you're not alone, for I'll be with you all the way, and I will stand by you and guide you every step of the way. And there will be a child whose childhood dreams came true and saw all the other children change the world with what they do, with hope and faith to see you through. Someday, child, that child will be you. Yes, there will be a child whose childhood dreams came true, who saw all the other children change the world with what they do, with hope and faith to see you through. Someday, child, that child will be you. Come on, Billy. Let's start a life of hope. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage Anastasia Stolze.
I am a dancer. I am a dancer, though I have 2 left feet. I spin and spin and spin, but I don't know how to pick a single spot on the wall to stare at. So my mind spins with my body. And why don't I just stop? Because I'm so used to spinning, it's become a part of me. Everything builds up so much energy. I'm ticking and spinning, dizzying with worry. My heart is beating and beating and beating and beating and beating until I'm a heaping mess. A dancer with 2 left feet, left collapsed on the floor, consumed. I know you hate it when I dance and spin in public, but sometimes I just can't help it. Sometimes it's as if my heart will beat out of my chest, my mind will turn off, and I'm sure that this is the time something bad is going to happen. Things have been too good for too long, even though it's never been that way before. Sometimes I dig my nails so deeply into my palms just to keep myself from spinning, because what if I pass out? It's never happened before, but I could spin and spin too far out of control, and what if I lose control of myself and my surroundings? No. But what if? I'm sorry that it inconveniences you when all I do is spin my anxious web for months on end. I know you just want your friend or a normal daughter, but to me it feels like I'm almost at my end, so all I can do is spin and try to mend my 2 left feet so I flake. I say I can't. I'm buried in work. I'm not feeling well. But truth be told, I'm scared. I don't want you to see me spinning. I have 2 left feet, and there's no way that I'm winning this dancing game I keep playing. Trust me, I wish I could stop this bad dancing and spinning with my 2 left feet. It's embarrassing. I hate you and anyone to see me this way, because it means I'm weak and out of control. Because what if everybody hates bad dancing, hates my mind? They want to see perfect twists and turns, not a beating, buzzing, left-footed dancer who can barely keep time, let alone control her mind. And what if I say the wrong things or step the wrong way, or I'm never good enough for myself, so how could I be for you and for anyone else? All these thoughts spin and dance through my head when talking to a friend, or when meeting a mother, or when someone slightly changes the way that they speak to me, or when I feel that I've failed, or when you slightly raise your voice to me, or anyone around me. And suddenly, I've messed up this perfect choreography I have planned in my head. It's not all bad, though. On my best days, my body is strong. It carries me through every step, every picked, planned move. I can impress with pirouettes, taking the right turn in every conversation, my calm body swaying and moving to the rhythm of normal life. But on my worst days, my blood boils in the heat of self-hatred, and I fall from my perfect dance and bruise my bones on the hard concrete of unmoving, self-destructive thought. I try to quiet my anxious mind, to mend my bruised bones, to stop my 2 left feet from taking me spinning, and to cool my blood. These are the things I want so desperately. It's so scary to be seen when I can't stop thinking and thinking about how I am a dancer, though with 2 left feet. Thank you. Now please welcome Annie to the stage.
I have props too. This is the day. Mannequin, 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 mannequin! And so begins another day. Okay, you two, we're at church. Today's the day we get to do our parade and sing our song. Oh, honey, we talked about this. Mama gets to play the tambourine, and you guys get to play the maracas. Oh, they'll be fun too. Now give one to your brother. Atta girl. Now, I need to talk to the church secretary for just a minute, and then we'll do our song. Okay, wait right here. Hi, Kelly. Kids and I are here today to do a parade and sing a song for the Christian education meeting. Agenda? Oh, no, we're not on the agenda. God has called us here today. Okay, you need to go and talk to them. That's fine. We'll wait right here. Okay, you guys, let's march while we're waiting. Marching, marching, marching we go. Marching, marching. So, Kelly, they said yes. Terrific. Okay, you guys, we're in. Hello, everyone. Today we're here to do a parade and sing a song for you. All right, let's go. This is the day that the Lord hath made. I am so tired. This trip from Nashville to Louisville, it's never felt so long. Not when Ted is driving. And now, here I am with the kids. What's that, honey? You're thirsty. There's a bag that I packed with some juice bottles in it. Yes, get one out for yourself and give one to your brother, please. Atta girl, thank you. I know my mood has changed. I've hardly slept this week. And I think Mom and Dad were so busy being Grandma and Granddad, I don't know if they even noticed that my mood had changed. Or if they noticed, they didn't say anything. Who knows what to say? And now here I am on the highway with my mood changed and not thinking very well, and I've got to get the children home. I miss Ted. This single parenting is not for me. What am I going to do? Oh, there's a rest area. I can pull over. And look, there's a merry-go-round and swings, an interstate playground. Oh, could I let them out for a few minutes? Could I let my children out to play while I sleep in the van? Could I? Knock, knock, Theodore, let me in. Oh, I'm so glad you're not shaving, you hunk of a husband. Hey, let's do it right here, right now. Oh, honey, it's at least 30 minutes before we have to get them up for school. Oh, you think I'm not myself? Not myself? Oh, I'm myself and more, baby. Baby, baby, falling in love again. Oh, honey, what husband wouldn't take up this invitation from his wife? Seriously. You've got to be kidding me. No? You're telling me no? Well, you're agitated this morning, sweetheart. No, I have not taken my medication. Have I not told you the Lord is healing me? I don't need all these pills. You don't have to get so angry. What is it you want me to do? Okay, honey. You pick out the pills you want me to take, and I will take them. Okay. He's chosen one of those. The doctor prescribes 2, and 1 of those, and 4 of those. I don't even take that many at bedtime. And that brown one, I think that's an ibuprofen. And an allergy med? Okay. Honey, okay, it is going to be okay. Hello, doctor. I love the new quilt you have on your office wall. Yes, I am still quilting. Exercising too, yeah. 3 or 4 times a week I walk with a very dear friend of mine. Yes, still active at church. In fact, right now we're planning our women's retreat and women's Bible study, and I couldn't be more excited about those things. Kids are good. I'm sure you know my daughter has been working as an elementary school counselor. Kind of a rough school. And my son works on the psychiatric unit at the hospital. I know, can you believe it? These children having grown up with me, a bipolar mom, and look how they've turned out. I'm so grateful and so proud of them. Ted and I are good. We just celebrated the 40th anniversary of the first day we met at the University of Illinois when we were students there. We took a trip down memory lane and drove over to Champaign-Urbana, and there we saw the campus and even got inside of the ballroom where he first asked me to dance. Yes, it's been a long road, but wow, we've made it to a quieter time. Yes, I am stable. Ted is good. We are good. Well, there is one ongoing tension I can tell you about. Being Fighting Illini fans in a Hawkeye town. Yep, meds are good. I wouldn't change a thing, and if I need something, I know where to find you. 3 months? 3 months sounds good to me. I'll be back in 3 months, and I'll make an appointment on the way out. This is the day that the Lord has made. Thank you.
My name is Sadie Elbert, and I'm one of the co-producers on the show today. Before I begin my closing remarks, I'd just like to take a moment for a round of applause for Alexandra Boychik, who has not graced the stage today, but is also one of our co-producers. I wrote a little something this morning, so I suppose I should read it. In 1969, John Powell posed the question, "Why am I afraid to tell you who I am?" Thoughtfully, a friend responded, "I am afraid to tell you who I am because you may not like who I am, and who I am is all I have." We value strength, perseverance, and authenticity. At the same time, there are certain struggles, triumphs, and truths we tend to hide away. We do this for many reasons. Maybe we are embarrassed of the fact that we have struggles to overcome at all. Maybe we do not appreciate what we've done as a triumph because other people seem to do the same thing so easily. And perhaps by disclosing the things we are most ashamed of, by bearing our most authentic self, we are terrified of alienating the people whose support we need the most. We are here today to reject the status quo. Today, we celebrate Justine, Margalie, Kyungmin, Ron, Adrianna, Eddie, Haley, Fatima, Misty, Kathy, Ryan, Anastasia, and Annie. We applaud their courage in showing us a side of them that stigma might compel them to hide away. We celebrate those of you in the audience who struggle with mental illness, and those of you who love someone affected by a mental illness. Every one of you in the audience is an affirmation, but there are countless stories left untold. This Is My Brave, Inc. will continue to offer a platform for those affected by mental illness to be brave. If you were moved by what you witnessed here today and you'd like to make a contribution to This Is My Brave to help them continue sharing stories, please text the word BRAVE to 41444, or become a brave champion with a recurring monthly donation. More information can be found in your program. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone here today for taking an active role in mitigating stigma surrounding mental health. Sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is listen. We hope that you'll think of this as my brave and that you'll use this experience you've shared with us today as a way to start the conversation and keep it going. We'd love to meet you in the lobby where we can gather and visit with our storytellers and sponsors. But first, how about one more round of applause for our brave cast?
I think this is just a great program to help fight stigmatism with the mental health illnesses, and just providing support to those people suffering, and just seeing them be able to express themselves and find support here. This is My Brave is just key to, it's a way for people to show that this does not define them. This is part of who they are, and they're getting better, and this is just a way for them to show that those steps by using This Is My Brave. I'm just glad I was able to come out here and support and just continue supporting those who struggle with mental health and just seeing them get better. It's a great feeling.
It was very impactful. My family has had mental illness and we've dealt with, and it's just impactful, and it makes a world of difference for people to know that it's not something to bury. It's something to talk about and something to share with others, and hopefully it'll be part of our language and vocabulary in the years to come.
So before the show, I was nervous, absolutely nervous and anxious, and but I tried to keep remind myself that what I have to be on the show, and remember the day when I was really struggling, and I knew that I figured that there's always a hope and support system around me when I am willing to open to share my story. So that was my lesson from my experiences. So I just want to encourage people who are still battling with their mental illness or hide their mental illnesses, just being afraid of it. So I just want to help a little bit.